Welcome to another episode of Breaking Mayberry, the show that used that just because we fucking can now.
Welcome to Steamboat Willie presents Breaking Mayberry, proudly sponsored by, can we say Mickey Mouse? Is
only
that cool?
only that version, only the Steamboat Willie version of Mickey Mouse. Hey everyone, editor Marty here, recording this after the fact. I've just been informed by my wife that implying any connection or endorsement with the Disney company or the mouse is like the one thing you can still get in trouble for. So just in case any corporate lawyers are listening, just want to be perfectly clear, what Dan just said is obviously a joke. We are not in any way associated with or endorsed by the Disney Corporation, and Breaking Mayberry is certainly not sponsored by any version of Mickey Mouse. Okay, now back to the show.
Proudly sponsored by a version of Mickey Mouse, our best friend, who is now going to be on the cover art of this episode.
Always, he'll be there. We should actually just Photoshop the Judge Dredd helmet that normally we have Marty Five wearing. So just put it on Steamboat Willie.
But also, he's smoking weed.
But also, he's smoking weed. That's right.
That has been the primary use I've seen is like, all right, well, what shit? We got Steamboat Willie. We weren't prepared for this. Make him smoke a blunt.
It's always smoking a blunt, or it's a slasher movie, right? It was just like that bullshit Winnie the Pooh movie. Like as soon as it was just like, here's a black and white Mickey Mouse that kills people. That's also a video game.
It's
whatever.
Oh yeah, they immediately launched a first-person Mickey Mouse shooter.
I mean, yeah, it's boring, but like, sure, whatever. Good for you. We can do it. Public domain. American copyright system is so fucked. But like, it's kind of a big deal, this one in particular, Mickey Mouse, because so many extensions to copyright law have happened to keep the mouse from out of the public domain. But now it's only Steamboat Willie, the version that mostly just abuses animals.
Yes.
That one specific one.
The sicko Mickey. That's the guy.
That's our dude. What's up? I'm one of your hosts. I'm Marty Schneider.
Other host, Dan Ludwig. What's up?
We took a little bit of time off for the holidays. Sometimes, Dan, things happen to you that you don't know whether to tell people or not. Mm-hmm. For me, this line happens on a scale of like, how embarrassing is this to admit? I don't want anyone to hear it. Versus, how fucking hilarious is this? And should I tell everybody? I had one of these happen to me while we were off for our holiday vacation. I was at my office Christmas party, my office holiday party.
What did you do?
Oh man!
Yes.
Oh buddy.
Ooh, cracking my knuckles.
Office holiday parties are. In my company, they're very weird. I've gone to a lot of Midwestern weddings, and there's a big Midwestern energy off of this. The food is okay. The music, like nothing more recent or like edgier than Bruno Mars's like Uptown Funk ever gets played. Uptown Funk is absolutely the most recent song to get played. And then you have to spend a bunch of time talking to people that otherwise you just, they're so weird, office Christmas parties, because nobody wants to talk about work, but what the fuck else do you have to talk to these people about?
I mean, you see the thing in like old movies and TV shows, and it's like the office Christmas party where everything gets nuts and like people hook up in the supply closet and the boss is drunk and it's a real wild time. And I've never been to one that isn't just like, I cannot have more than 2 beers. I cannot risk even looking a little drunk. My director is here. I have to be fucking careful. I am
it's ridiculous.
Measuring all of my words.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, I don't remember what prompted this, but after a couple of drinks, my boss and I were talking about attempting to be cool, like corporate messaging that sounds so annoying and out of place. The how do you do, fellow kids kind of messaging. And one thing I'll say about my boss, he commits to bits, man. When he gets going, the dude knows a bit. So we were like riffing on this for a while, like saying that not our messaging, but some brand messaging had real like youth pastor energy. And he was, putting his arms back and going, yeah, let's rap about our brand synergy. And I attempted to one up him a little bit, riffing off of his, and I attempted to spin a chair backwards. And
Oh.
I want you to know, I wore my wedding suit to this because it said to like dress in your best. So you saw my wedding suit. It's fucking sick. It's
Mhm.
custom made to me. It's this wonderful blue color. Everyone's commenting on how fucking dope I look, right? And everybody, for the first time, I'm like, yeah, all right, I'm respected by my peers. Everybody's like really up on me right now. People are congratulating me for the work I've done. People are saying that I look cool as hell. Like this is great. Anyway, keep that in mind as I flip the chair backwards and attempt to sit in it backwards, but it is not really a regular chair. It's kind of an outside patio chair, so I have to stretch a little bit further than one normally would. And then you hear a good old
Yes.
and I am staring like right into the eyes of the HR manager who flew in from Colombia, from South America, our South American HR manager, and I'm just looking right at her. And I just go, all right. And I don't know if she knew that something bad had happened or not, but I just flipped over, sat back down, and promptly tried to figure out the fastest exit routes that I could do with my waist jacket tied around. It is just ass to taint, dude. It is
all the
it
way,
is
all the
it is
way.
split all the way down. And like we were all getting ready because in my office, like HR actually leaves. Like we leave early and we do an after party at like Buffalo Billiards or Tattooed Mom or somewhere else. Like HR gets out of the way so that everyone can have the wild Christmas party. And so my boss is like, "Hey, you coming to the after party?" And I'm like, "Nope. No, sir. No, I'm not.
Wait,
And I don't know if I want to tell you or not."
who was aware that this has happened? Did you manage to get through this without
I
anybody?
managed to sneak out of I was like, because I was already outside. So I'm like, I'm just going to dial an Uber. But then I was stuck in that position where I'm like, I'm gonna tell these two coworkers because it's fucking funny. Because I'm just like, this is horrible, this is embarrassing. It's also so goddamn funny. I can't get over it.
What? Let this be a lesson to everybody. Not even as a bit should you try the sit around on a chair backwards thing, okay? It never goes well. Something will happen to you. You will rip your pants like a dipshit. You
This
will
was my
fall.
wedding suit.
So you will rip your
This is
wedding
my wedding suit, Daniel.
Yes. Like, oh, what's the story on this giant stitching on Marty's crotch on the suit that commemorates the happiest day of his life? Well, he committed to the bit as he does and received the proper consequences.
I told one coworker that I get along with pretty well, and she is the one of the youngest member of the team, and she was like, "What? You ripped them? Let me see." And I was like, "No, I'm not going to show you the rip because that's sexual harassment." Like,
Question. Wait, so you were doing this bit with your boss
yeah,
when it happened. Is your
yes,
boss one of the people that knows that this happened to you?
yes.
Okay, good. Because my concern was if he was not one of those people, what it would look like is you tried to sit down in a weird way, there was a noise, your eyes went wide, and then you tied a waistcoat and ran out of the room. So my
Yeah,
assumption would
yeah,
truly
yeah,
be,
for sure.
hey, Marty shit himself.
Himself. Sure.
I
Sure.
mean, honestly,
So
if I was looking at that, my first thing would not be, unless I saw your pants rip, my first thing would be not be, Marty ripped his pants. My thing would be, hey, Marty shit his pants.
Right. And that's why I'm glad that I notified my boss at that table what the deal was, because that's the only other possible conclusion.
Mhm.
So, yeah. So when something happens to you that is humiliating but also hilarious, you put it into your podcast. You know what else people do for podcasts? They give us ratings. They give us ratings and reviews.
When they're the good ones.
Yeah. We got a new rating here, a new review from Sweeney Bob, who about a month ago did this. And I'm giving Sweeney Bob lots of credit here because they write, I spent over an hour navigating through Apple's awful ID creation system just so I could leave a review for this podcast. It's that good. You don't need to have ever watched an episode of the Andy Griffith Show to enjoy this podcast. In fact, never having watched the show myself made this podcast even better. So like I told you before, Dan, it's not that funny of a review, but I just wanted to give credit to this person for navigating Apple's awful fucking UI.
Yes.
Like,
Okay,
just
yeah.
for us. Like,
Yeah,
it's and listen, whoever left that review, Sweeney Bob, let me tell you, it's even worse on our end. Like, it's even worse on the podcaster end to navigate. Apple, get your shit together.
I just, not outside of the context of my gratefulness to you for giving us a review, navigating Apple's UI on a regular basis really should qualify you for some sort of award. Like, you should get to board airplanes early if you have to do that. So thank you for your service, person. That
people who brave Apple's UI are braver than the troops.
Yes, we are saying that. Yes, absolutely.
We are saying that, and Steamboat Willie version of Mickey Mouse endorses it wholeheartedly.
Oh yeah, what shit? Steamboat Willie is nodding aggressively. If anything, he agrees too hard.
The troops are absolute pussies when compared to people who navigate the UI of Apple. That music meant that Mickey was on our side.
Steamboat Willie, oh my god! If any, he says you could have just cut off after the word pussies. Wow, Jesus. Oh man, he is going to be our guy that takes bits too far, and we have to apologize for. We're going to have to like do one of those like statements where we do a screenshot of the Notes app and just be like, Steamboat Willie apologizes for the words he said on today's episode. He's going to take some time away from the podcast.
I'm so happy I have this button here. Like, I'll just play it every single time that we say something too offensive. I'm just going to hit that button. And remember, Mickey Mouse supports it. Okay. Yes. All right. I think that's good to move on to our episodes today. We are going to do probably 2 episodes. Season 5, episodes 24 and 25. And I believe we said that we are going to start with episode 25. Correct, Dan?
Yes.
Punch in the nose.
Yeah.
Okay.
We start with the more interesting one, which I think you were kind of you were a little more ambivalent on.
I could have gone either way, but you made a strong argument for this. So let's do season 5, episode 25, The Case of the Punch in the Nose.
I mean, hear that title. How can you not say that that's the strong
We've gotten burned by titles before.
That is fair.
Written by Bill Idelson and Sam Bobrick. Originally directed by Kobe Ruskin, originally airs March 15th, 1965. Here is your 2-sentence summary from Wikipedia. Barney discovers a file of an old, forgotten assault case between Floyd and grocer Charles Foley that was never resolved. Barney reopens the case, and his insistence on following through with the case causes old feelings to flare up as Mayberry divides into rival camps.
Yes.
So this is what happens essentially is this is Barney Fife Cold Case Files.
It is Barney Fife Cold Case Files, and it is also, in my view, Barney Fife Prince of Darkness, the John Carpenter movie. Like, it is Barney Fife as I would say, in my mind, graduating to another level of human evil, which I think I'm going to wait a little bit to talk about. Like, Marty, I kind of gave you the heads up earlier today of, I want you to meditate on the concept of evil before we do this episode today.
I'm just doing my job today with, fully intact pants. And I just get a message from Dan that says, "You ever think about evil?"
Yeah. Just from watching this a second time, just being like, I think today is the day to really contemplate the concept of human evil.
So we open up on Andy and Barney in the courthouse, and they are humming together for a very long time. In fact, I would say the first 2 minutes of this are just 2 guys humming and then graduate to singing when one guy reminds them of what the lyrics are.
Yeah.
And they are going through old courthouse files. They're going through old things to put stuff into storage, which is pretty standard for government stuff. You hold on to it for 7 years and then you basement it or shred it or whatever. So they're going through boxes of old files. there's a little bit where Andy discovers the first time that Otis was arrested for being drunk in public, which is
which
in
is
1946.
horrifying. Really, especially like how we've kind of charted our belief that Otis is homeless now. But they pull up an old case file, and Andy's like, "Oh, check it out. Otis drunk in public at a flower show." And Barney's like, "What's the big deal? I've seen hundreds of those." And he's like, "First offense." And then they have like a good chuckle, and Barney goes like, "Oh yeah, he probably passed out in somebody's azaleas." And then they're like, "Beginning
It's
of an
been
era."
20 years.
Yeah.
He's been doing
Seems
this
like
for 20 years.
before either of them were like authority figures, really.
Yeah, no.
Basically, as long as they can remember, Otis has been a sad drunk.
Yeah, so they also stumble across something else that happened 20 years prior. So I just want to be clear here. The incident that that sparked all of this that Barney's upset about, this happened around the same time as Otis's first offense for being drunk in public.
Yeah.
He finds a cold case file that has never resolved of an assault case between Floyd and the other barber, or I'm sorry, the other
Foley.
grocer, Charles Foley, played by character actor Frank Ferguson. He's been on here a couple of times. You've seen him. If you watched TV in the 60s, you saw him. He had hundreds of credits. Once Barney sees this, he sees that there was an assault case, but he doesn't know who assaulted whom. He doesn't know how it ended. He didn't know. No, it just knows that a case was opened and then never closed. And this drives him nuts.
Yes. So this is the first thing I want to like really point out is Barney Fife is sort of a man possessed through this entire thing, but really towards no ends whatsoever. It is not the urge to like seek out justice. Or he doesn't say that. He doesn't want to get any sort of resolution. He does not want to gain anything personally. It is a completely irrational desire to pick at a scab, somebody else's scab, until it starts to bleed. He is trying to rationalize around the need to do this to come up with explanations. Well, it's just the thing he really says is like, it's procedure, it's good housekeeping, it's keeping everything organized. The document needs to be closed out. There needs to be a final like reconciliation of it. To which Andy just keeps saying like, leave it alone. Doesn't need to be resolved. Everything is fine. The two guys are like best friends now. So whatever happened clearly isn't that big of a deal. And Barney will not let this go. He is a man possessed, as it were.
All right, hang on. I'm going to disagree with you on this a little bit here. I actually sort of take Barney's side on this. I do. You're raising your eyebrows, but I do. And the reason for this is because we've seen multiple times that Andy doesn't document fucking anything. Andy is against the idea of any sort of paper trail for anything whatsoever. So it's Barney who's just like, we should put a fucking note, a post-it note here. There needs to be a fucking resolution so that we know that this thing is at least wrapped up. And very least of which is just like statute of limitations. I was just looking it up. In North Carolina, there is no statute of limitations for, quote, malicious misdemeanors per the North Carolina guidelines. So I believe that this would fall under the category of a malicious misdemeanor. I mean, it's not going to be felony assault. So I think that he was within his rights to do so. And again, so yes, you are right. Practicality wise, sure, we should leave this alone. It's not bothering anybody. But in the context of what we have seen from Andy's policing, absolutely, someone's got to be fucking like signing the fucking papers. Someone's got to say this is over.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, and on that initial basis, I do agree, and I think you can make the argument that is what Barney wants to do initially. It's just dot the I's, find out what's going on. That falls apart pretty fucking quickly. I think it becomes rapidly apparent charges were not pressed. The case was dropped. They reached a peaceful solution, and just nobody filled out the paperwork. Like, it wasn't like basically that is what it said at the end is the previous sheriff negotiated no charges being pressed by either party.
Then write that down. That's
Yeah, it
all.
was just
That's all Barney needs to. That's all you need to do. That's all the
yes.
previous sheriff needed to do. Sheriff Poindexter was just write that down.
Yeah, like, okay, yeah. So he should have written it down. They get over to the other to Floyd's. Barney is like, I am going over to Floyd's. Andy is like, leave it alone. I don't think this is a good idea. You'll fuck shit up. And it goes over just on the basis of he needs a haircut. So they get over there. Floyd, all he wants to talk about is the fact that a guy and a girl are getting married, and there is something in his sidewalk where the boy, as a child, he scraped like, Billy hates Samantha, and he's like, oh, and now they're getting married. Which
I gotta tell you, man, show me the fucking sidewalk. It's like, I was just amazed at just how poor the storytelling is. A lot of times in Andy Griffith's show, you just get a guy describing something kind of funny, and they just keep describing the thing that's kind of funny and never showing you the thing that's kind of funny in hopes that that description gets funnier. And it never, ever does.
It's not even like funny though. As a concept, it's kind of cute. It's like something my grandma would text me.
Yeah, I would definitely give that a like on Instagram as I scrolled through. Like, childhood enemies are now getting married.
I would give that a courtesy thumbs up or whatever it was on Facebook when my aunt posts it. Of like,
sure,
like
that'd be a real wholesome meme. Anyway, this is all Floyd wants to talk about.
Yes, and Barney interrogates him. Floyd doesn't really have any interest in talking about it, so Barney storms over to Foley's grocery. Foley also is like, Foley tells him what happened and is basically like, it's no big deal. I forgot it even happened. It's actually like a really funny story. And says, I was new in town. Floyd was just starting out his barbershop. I fell asleep in the chair when I was getting a haircut because I always fall asleep during haircuts, which how could that possibly be true? That is the tensest I ever am.
Yeah, what?
There's scissors and I have ears. Like, what the fuck are you talking about falling asleep? I'm never more alert than when I'm getting the quickest haircut. But he says, basically, Floyd shaved him while he was asleep, which, again, what?
It's such a funny sentence. That's such a funny sentence to say. Floyd shaved him while he was asleep.
Which he wakes up and they argue over the cost, but really what it really should have been is like, hey man, you could have fucking killed me. Like, we only had straight razors back then. You, like, one, if I snore, you slit my throat and I bleed out on your floor. Are you out of your goddamn mind? Also, how did you do that? That's actually kind of impressive that you can shave a man without waking him up. That's some Sweeney Todd shit.
Gentle. It's so gentle. So he gave him a shave that he may or may not have asked for. So he charges him for the shave, which is like, according to the pricing sheet, like an extra 75 cents or something. I spent a lot of time for some reason looking at the prices that are posted behind Floyd's. So he was charged for an extra shave that he didn't want to pay for, and they had an argument, and Foley claims that Floyd punched him right in the nose. But he says, Floyd's a little bitch. So it was more like a little boop. He says it was more like a little boop. Like, oh, it was like a kitten. It was so cute.
He was like, can you imagine Floyd actually punching someone? And he just gave me a little boop, like a basically Ernie and Bert.
Yeah, except like this is proven almost immediately false now that I think about it.
No, because he says it wasn't a real punch, and also I guess I had it coming because I called him a crook. But we agreed to drop the whole thing. So he has his reason why it happened. Like, No chart, basically confirmation of what happened. Crime was reported, no charges were pressed, amicable resolution.
You're saying that this is when Barney should have stopped.
This is bing bang boom, all set, it's handled, it's done. Barney then whips the guy into a fucking lather by saying, by saying like, but he punched you. He punched you, right? He punched you. He was the one that punched you. And you were wronged. He shaved you in your sleep. And gets the guy kind of pissed off. And is and he, the guy is like, he kind of punched me. He's like, no, but you were punched. And he was like,
I don't think he does that. He's just confirming.
Does.
I'm giving Barney the benefit of the doubt, because then what he does is he goes over to Floyd's and he's like, okay, because he's about to stop. He says, I'm about, oh, okay, wait a second. All right, I see where you're going with this. Because he goes to Floyd's and he says, well, I got everything I need now. I've got a full testimony here from this guy who says that you punched him. Isn't that right, Floyd? You punched him. Okay, I see what you're going with here. I see your thing.
Yes, why did he need to go tell Floyd? Like, he asked Floyd. Floyd didn't really give him an answer. He asked Foley. Foley basically said it's no big deal. He got Foley good and pissed off, which did not happen independently. And then he basically just went over to Floyd to be like, hey, Foley called you a crook piece of shit with a wimpy punch, which gets Floyd pissed off. Because he doesn't just dredge up the fact that he punched him. He says, like, well, Foley says that you ripped him off. To which Floyd says, no, he's a cheapskate.
I don't think Foley's mad in this scene. I don't think Foley gets mad until the very next scene, because once he gets a contradicting testimony from Floyd saying, of course, he punched me, Barney can't let this go. He's got to make this make sense. He only has one other witness to the situation, and that's Goober, who, of course it's Goober because there's nobody else in this fucking town, who was 5 years old at the time, which, may I remind you, makes Goober canonically 24 years old.
He's got what they refer to as city miles on him. Time has not been kind to this motherfucker.
He is canonically 24. What the fuck?
Just with a face like fucking Edward James Olmos. Yeah, I'm a youthful 25. I just got out of college. Oh boy, I hope I don't get drafted. Tries to do like the little heel click and just breaks every bone in his hip.
Dude's fucking laugh lines are canyons.
Jesus know.
Christ. Okay.
Well, again, they had to, from the day you were born back then, you had to walk through just like curtains and curtains of cigarette smoke. So everybody's skin was probably dog shit.
George Lindsay was actually 36 years old. But that's a hard looking 36.
Yeah, man. He looks 50.
He looks so old. Barney arranges the entire crew. He arranges Foley and Floyd and Goober back to the barbershop to recreate the situation, as if that's going to do anything.
No, right. He is trying to prove something that does not need to be proven. This was a fully resolved case, and now these men are essentially debating a closed case, which I'm assuming the statute of limitations has run out on.
Like I just said, in North Carolina, if this counts as a malicious misdemeanor, there is no statute.
Okay. But yeah, so he has fully dredged this situation up. Andy pulls him aside. The two guys start arguing about what happened, who punched who, oh shit, I keep forgetting.
Foley.
If Foley agreed to the shave before falling asleep. And while Andy and Barney are arguing and Goober is looking at a comic book, Foley claims that Floyd punched him in the nose.
Yeah, to be clear, Goober's looking at a comic book because that is what 5-year-old Goober was doing on that day.
Yes. And Barney
Quick note. 5-year-old Goober is the only witness, meaning Goober's father or parental figure was not there. They just left 5-year-old Goober at the
is a
barbershop.
conclusion we could have drawn,
We
really.
should have figured that. We could have
The
figured that.
millennial boys were left to their own devices frequently, often, I'm assuming, in parking lots. You
So
just dump them in the woods and hope they don't torture a cat or something.
So there is a conversation where Andy is losing his shit. He is yelling at Barney. He's like, I don't care. I don't care about any of this.
Yeah,
He is like a blood vessel is bursting in his brain.
he is unbelievably pissed off because he is like, I told you repeatedly to drop this, and this is accomplishing nothing. You are only making this worse, and something really bad is about to happen. And at that point, the punch happens.
We don't see the punch on screen. There are many
No.
punches in this show, in this episode, none of which are on screen because that would have required us to teach actors how to pull punches.
Yeah. As we all know, stage fighting wasn't invented until 1976 by Jonathan Stage Fight. A man who got that name and was like, I'm going to turn this into something.
So, but there, I mean, something's heard, and then Foley's sitting there holding his nose, going, he punched me. He punched me in the nose. He punched me right in the nose, which I think does. I mean, let's assume that like Floyd did get stronger over 20 years, but I think that does contradict his original testimony of Floyd can't punch anyone. It was like a little boop. Well, guess what, bitch?
Yeah.
Floyd apparently grew up.
Floyd, apparently that stroke only made him more powerful. He's like a weird, shitty version of the Hulk where the more strokes he has, the stronger he gets.
Jesus Christ. So now he's
the
been punched.
Hulk gets stronger the more he gets dementia.
Don't get me confused. You wouldn't like me when I'm trailing off.
Don't get me hoarding pennies. You wouldn't like me when I'm hoarding pennies.
So that's the capper, and then this spreads like wildfire. All right. So Floyd punches Foley in the nose, and they run off.
Yes.
Now, apparently, there were no witnesses since Barney and Andy were yelling at each other, and Goober was reading a comic book. But I gotta say, guys, like I think you all fucking understand the concept of witness. Whatever. So
yeah.
Foley's mad that no one is saying they saw anything, which is only technically correct, right?
Which
so
and at this point, to somewhat illustrate a point, Foley then punches Goober in the nose and storms out. And Goober is like, I want him arrested. I want to press charges. He just punched me in the nose.
Goober doesn't do that. Goober doesn't want charges.
Yeah. He says like, I want him arrested. He just punched me in the nose.
Okay.
Well, Barney just kind of like is running around in circles.
That happens at the courthouse in the next scene. So yeah, Foley's screaming at everybody because they're not like being witnesses. And then Goober says, I didn't see anything. I was reading a comic book like Barney told me to do. And then again, when Andy and Barney's backs are turned like they're fucking referees at a wrestling match, Foley just punches Goober in the nose. And we don't see this happen, but we do. Like, you hear a noise and you see a guy's nose bleeding. Like, I think you can rightfully assume what happened
Foley's
there.
manager comes into the ring and holds Goober's arms back so Foley can punch him.
So yeah, and then Barney and Andy are dealing with this. Okay, so far Floyd has punched Goober. No, I'm sorry. Floyd has punched Foley. Foley's punched Goober. That's where we are right now.
At this point, they get the phone call that, they go over to Floyd's, and Floyd now has a bandage on his nose because Otis came by, and because him and Foley are somewhat related.
You are jumping on. You're jumping ahead. Right?
Oh, okay.
Here's the complete list of punches. Goober hits Gilly Walker, the guy who drives his car too shitty. Otis, who is Foley's cousin, punches Floyd. Floyd's cousin Lamar punches Otis, and then Opie gets into a fight with Foley's nephew, who is Opie's best friend, Johnny Paul Jason.
And then somebody punches Betty Ann.
Yeah, they get a phone call from a woman named Betty Ann. So the joke here is a woman also got hit.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the joke. That's the joke. There's an actual laugh track.
But so it is spreading like mass hysteria, basically. Like all of those cases because it's always a guy just walks up, punches you in the nose, and walks away. It's not like we fought. It's like just boop.
I think the only ones who have had actual fights are the children.
Yes, because they don't understand. But it's like it's not just like that people are getting angry and violent. It's like how in like medieval times or like colonial times they would be like, this entire town started compulsively dancing even though we told them not to, or like
it's also very weird to me. It's kind of the same way they treat bullets, like being shot is not a big deal, right? Because you want to show that this is a huge deal and people are like going crazy all over town, but you can't show any like real violence. The most we see is that Floyd has a little band-aid on his nose. Nobody's nose gets broken. Nobody bleeds, right? Everyone just goes ow, 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 like they ran, like they bumped into a doorknob, basically.
People are like, oh, I think it might be broken, but nobody has like any swelling or whatever.
Nothing happened, right? So it's very weird that they pretend how big of deals is. So apparently everyone's fists are made of cotton.
Yeah,
or everyone's noses are made of cellophane.
I mean, look at the people that are involved in this. None of them I would call peak physical specimens.
That's true. We are talking about like old men with multiple strokes, the town drunk, and children, literal children.
Yes, Gilly Walker is the most like involved, probably the most in shape person involved in this, and he only gets punched, and he's just kind of pissed off. Yeah, he's not even.
He's mostly just surprised and confused. Like,
yes. Yeah, he's not like a part of it. He's not like, I don't even know what's going on, but Goober punched me in the face, which I kind of feel like is just Goober wanted to punch him in the face.
Goober's been wanting to punch that guy for a while. And you know what? He's had it fucking coming.
Yeah, that guy's annoying and loud.
I'm on Goober's side.
Yeah. So there is a punch epidemic, and this is the point. Literally a punch epidemic. It is
stupid. An epidemic of violence in the dumbest way.
Yeah, but just again, just one punch. Not even like people are beating the shit out of each other in the street. It's just like you go, you knock on a guy's door, you bop him in the nose, presumably not with all of your physical strength, but you're in Mayberry, so you're an old man that hasn't worked out since the 30s. So it doesn't do any damage, and then you leave. Yes, you have this viral mass hysteria that is spreading, and it all originates from a thing Barney did. And Andy flips the fuck out and is just basically like, this is getting solved, and you are going to fix it. And Barney goes like, this isn't our fault. How could this be our fault? And Andy goes, it's not our fault. It's your fault. I told you like to not do this, and then you did it, and now the town is going to rip itself to shred. And he says like, there is going to be a war. Like, the town is divided down into factions. Everybody knows about this. Everybody gives a shit. And
I'll tell you, Andy, it's a real shame about that war, but the blood god will be pleased.
Yeah.
I came here to do the bidding of the blood god and to sacrifice souls for him. So that's just what I'm gonna do. More blood for the blood god, Andy. More blood for the blood god.
Okay, let's fucking talk about it. So
you've sold me, man. You've sold me. Okay, let's hear the idea here.
Okay, so it is an early establishment in our mythology. Barney Fife is our interpretation of American fascism. We think he's the real face. Fascism is not in America is not a Nazi with sharp cheekbones. who is like a conniving sociopath. It's an asshole with a modicum of power using that to make your life harder just because they can. It's a stupid dipshit who inexplicably has authority over you. And so we've said, like, yeah, we've charted this. Barney
Yep,
is
with you so far.
Barney is leaving soon, so I've been kind of contemplating this, especially because we've kind of backburnered our interpretation of the character for a while, just because we had other shit going on in the
He
show.
hasn't done much in a while.
He hasn't done much, and this is the point where I'm kind of like, I had the thing of like, we've called Barney the devil loosely, just out of anger a couple of times. So I'm kind of like, is Barney in the devil of this show? Is he the devil? The things that like stuck with me in this episode were traits of Lucifer are the serpent, temptation, how he kind of like goaded Foley into this like frothing rage, that initial thing where the guy was initially laughing it off and Barney kind of drew this rage out of him. Fuck it, I'm gonna get into it. Fallen angel. Lucifer, Barney is kind of a failed figure of order and authority. He is a shitty cop that basically holds up to no scrutiny. He's a failed soldier who has sort of become this agent of chaos in his community. I got into this hole and I was looking up like the concept of evil. And the thing that struck out at me is like what Barney does is like almost supernatural evil in this show. He creates viral madness that possesses this town. And he does it really for Barney always has like some sort of game to what he decides to do. He always has like a delusion that he's feeding into or a lady he wants to fuck. And that causes him to do something horrible. And this is the one where his motives were the most inscrutable. And so there was a thing in the analysis of David Lynch movies that David Lynch treats evil as an entity outside of humanity, that it is a force that flows through us, but it is its own separate thing. And that's what sort of animates a lot of his portrayals of small town America is you have this sort of like Eden state that evil will flow through at given intersections. And the sense I got from watching this is like evil is just flowing through Barney in this thing. It is compelling him to do something horrible and cause all this carnage, and he doesn't even understand why he's doing it. That got me thinking on it of there's like this long back and forth of what evil is between like philosophy and theology of, is evil just the absence of good, or is it its own thing in itself? Is it its own like force concept that can exist completely in a vacuum away from good? I think it's sort of like this is sort of a situation of, yeah, and it's in this motherfucker. I think so. A psychologist that's cited calls evil a kind of militant ignorance. An evil person is consistently self-deceiving, deceives others, psychologically projects his or her evil onto specific targets, abuses power, and lies incessantly. They are constantly attempting to escape or hide their own conscience. Basically, evil is a form of is the result of constant self-deception. Sound like anybody? I think Barney Fife is the fucking devil. I think he's like the most realistic portrayal of human evil that we're actually going to see.
So how's quitting smoking going, bud?
It's not going great, Marty. It's not going great. It's going pretty bad, Marty.
Okay, so our theory at this point is that like your theory at this point is that Barney Fife is like possessed by Beelzebub himself.
It kind of feels like that in this episode. Is like Barney is possessed by evil as like an almost otherworldly entity, because his power, what he does is almost supernatural here, and he doesn't seem to understand why he's doing it.
that David Lynch part, the part about David Lynch and Eden, I think that really rings through because uh, I think especially in the early seasons, Mayberry would be Eden. Mayberry
Yeah.
would be a utopia, a land of perfection, uh, for white people. But it would be a land of perfection if not for Barney Fife. Like so many of those early episodes revolve around just like everything is fine and then Barney's,
Well,
right?
something
He
that
is
occurred.
we're not going to do a mathematical breakdown, but the majority of issues in the town stem from him, from something that he has done. So yes, maybe if the idea is that every Eden needs to be disgraced, like sure, maybe he was put there by supernatural means to disrupt the peace. He is a disruptor,
like
or
like
or maybe shitty small town cops have tiny peckers and huge egos. Like I,
Oh yeah, no, like in terms of like the supernatural interpretation, that's just something that kind of like struck me on this specific occasion. But it was kind of like in terms of Barney being the source of all evil in this town. Like, imagine what Andy's life would be like if Barney got hit by a bus on the way back from the military base he was stationed in.
I think Andy imagines that all the time.
Yeah, like, but just like all the things that all really like all the times that this town has been well and truly fucked have been the result of Barney Fife and his actions. It
I
has
mean, I'm
been
sure.
stupid and shitty without him plenty of times, but like there the big one is, remember that time he got a motorcycle and he was a reign of terror. Like it's kind of like he just is just the suffering of the town. He is like the origin point of
He is
everything bad that
he is
happened.
the point of all of. Okay, I'm gonna tell you something, Dan, from the ultra reliable Mayberry wiki here. A couple of things. First, I want to say that even in the Mayberry wiki, like two people have been discussing like how Barney should have been fired by this point, and one also says, "Oh, Sniff Escape. We've seen Sniff Escape before." I'm not sure how their friendship could have survived Barney runs for sheriff, where Barney brought up 76 counts of malfeasance for Andy in front of the whole town. Uh, Aunt B called him a rabble rouser. I doubt she'd be offering Barney apple crumb pie anytime soon. If so, then I'm sure with a side of arsenic. So Sniff Escape here on the
Yeah,
ultra reliable Mayberry wiki is like, we should kill him.
kind of.
Okay,
Like,
we should kill him. Now I want you to know something else about the music in this. Remember I said at the beginning how they were humming and singing a hymn at the very beginning?
mhm.
Um, and Andy refers to the song as Sinners Lose All Their Guilty Stains. That is not the name of the song. The song, according to the ultra reliable Mayberry wiki, the song that Andy and Barney sing at the opening of this episode is a hymn called Praise for the Fountain Opened, also known as There is a Fountain Filled with Blood.
I'm gonna lose my fucking mind. Jesus Christ.
And I'm going to go ahead and read you the entirety of the Wikipedia article on There is a Fountain Filled with Blood. Praise for the Fountain Opened, commonly known by its first line, There is a Fountain Filled with Blood, is a hymn written by William Cowper. It was one of the first hymns he wrote after his first major bout of depression. No fucking shit! Various
This
compilers have altered the third line of the second stanza, and there have I, substituting would or may for have. That is it. That is the entire Wikipedia entry for this hymn. There is a fountain filled with blood.
bro. The fuck. It feels like you know how like in a movie somebody will be like possessed by the devil or having a psychotic break, and in the background a bunch of fucked up shit is happening on a TV that nobody else notices. Like
Yeah, yeah.
they're watching a sitcom and the dad is like, "You're all gonna die." It feels like watching that sometimes. Fucking A. Yeah, like Okay, so the song is called Fountainful of Blood. But yes, I mean, there must have been basement meetings, like, where they've just been like, how, temperature check. I know it's been a couple of months. How are we feeling on offing Barney? Like,
Do you have any? I'm sure there have been so many times when they're out in the woods and Andy's just like, you know, I can make it look like an accident so easy. The man mishandles his own gun so many times. I could just say he just, he was playing with it and it went off and shot him right in the head. I could just say that. It would
we,
be so easy. He does it all the time. No one would. He thinks about it so much. He thinks about it all the time.
I mean, good dude, like, Gilly and like a bunch of random people that we've never seen. The fucking what John Masters, the choir director, has definitely been in like a basement meeting where they have to do a secret knock, and it's like, I'm starting to think Andy's not gonna fucking kill him. Like, you keep saying that Andy's gonna kill him like any day now, and it's starting to feel like maybe he's not, and maybe we should just do it. Like, it would be so easy, and they're like, any day now, Andy is going to shoot him in the face. Like, they, so many conversations have happened about like how easy it would be to end him.
You want to wrap this episode up or this one up? We've gone through a whole. Everyone's fighting everyone. Aunt B gets a moment in here where she just kind of says everything is shameful. Dan, tell us. I'm seeing where you're going with this. Recap the conversation between Aunt B and Andy.
So Andy and Aunt B are talking about everybody punching each other. Aunt B asks, "What happened to this town anyway?" And Andy says, "Barney." And then
Barney
they just
happened.
leave it at
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
He
Barney is
just needs to
something.
say that one
Barney
word.
is something that happens to the town. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Uh,
And Gomer at one point asks, like, why is Barney doing any of this? And Andy just goes, "He's a nut."
yeah, he calls him a nut multiple times.
With nothing but disdain. Like like and that, to return to that screaming match where Andy is just barreling down on Barney, and Barney is like getting scared and then getting angry and then starting to pipe up and being like, "Well, it's not my fault. I was just doing it." And then Andy screams at him again and he like backs down. And then Barney like kind of runs out the door indignantly. Um Andy sends him to grab Floyd and Foley and
Foley.
bring them in.
No. Yeah. Bring them in. He brings them in, and Andy wants him to just talk it out, and Barney's muttering, "Well, I feel like you got to have Goober here. I feel like how can you have this thing without a witness?" So
And
Andy
at
just
one
says,
point,
"Fine, go
Andy
get
just like
Goober."
at one point he starts to talk and Andy just slams the gavel down to shut him up, like with just fucking rage.
And then he says, "Fine, go get him. Go get Goober. Go get him. Fucking, I get out of here." They get rid of Barney for a second, and then Andy is very patronizing here. I hated this scene, but he just kind of like walks them through, like, you guys are friends, you guys are neighbors, you guys don't need to keep doing this. Yeah, I'm sure that this can be handled with just a handshake. This is very silly. It's patronizing as all hell.
Yeah.
Uh,
I would
and
be, fuck you, dude. I got punched in the face.
And he says, "Oh, you could just end this with just a handshake." And then they go, "Well, that's what the last sheriff told us too." And they go, "All right." So then they shake hands and they walk out. The end of this is Barney coming in. He's like, "So did Barney comes back?" And Andy says, "Oh, well, it's fine. Everything's taken care of." Barney says, "Okay, well, did they agree to drop charges? Did they like was there a resolution?" And Andy says, "Nah, they just said, we'll forget about it." And Barney says, accurately, "Then the case isn't solved." And I swear to God, this could all be fucking fixed by just writing on a goddamn post-it note.
Just
Everything's good. And yes.
nailed it, crushed it, all set. Like, just rubber
And
stamp it.
and again, I don't know what Andy's aversion to doing this is, right? Like, I don't know what Andy's aversion to keeping records is, but I think it's because if he did keep any records, we would see his more than 76 cases of malfeasance.
Yes.
And
So
that's it. Okay, so um
But Barney goes off to get the signatures, and Andy like pauses and then just goes, "He's going to the barber shop. We have to go stop him." Like he's about to tackle Barney, and they walk out, and Barney is like is walking back and holding his nose because somebody punched him.
Right.
Um, and
And
this
the stinger is Barney almost gets into another fight with Floyd over some hair tonic that he didn't ask for.
which
And
yeah,
Andy,
Floyd totally
Andy,
ripped him off.
sure, Floyd absolutely did it. And Andy says, "Give him the quarter, give him the quarter, shut the fuck up, give him the quarter and leave." So
Wait,
Andy is now asserted. He's pissed. He hates this guy.
it is, yeah, okay. So let's jump right into ratings, but let's jump straight to the one that's important. Goober meter.
Goober meter. How sick of this shit is Andy? This is off the charts, dude.
It is 9 cuz again, 10 is opening fire. Like
Yeah.
10 is he has killed someone. Um
Yeah.
9 I he was so close to saying the words "you are fired." Like he was like filled to the brim with rage. Um, I think partially because this town is clearly held together kind of with duct tape and manufactured ignorance. Like, and if you pick at anything, it just falls the fuck apart, and everybody is suddenly beating the shit out of each other.
I think it's really interesting. In 5 years, we're watching the Cracks show, right? Like their society is starting to break down.
Well, it's like, okay, so to return to the mass hysteria thing where it's always like everybody in this town started dancing, or people could only sing or skip everywhere they went and nobody knew why. And it's always in like, oh, maybe it was because it was in a mega repressed society where people would just spontaneously freak out
Yeah.
because they were
Yeah.
like living under constant scrutiny. It's just basically like that, where like the slightest like release valve of just normal human behavior just explodes like a fucking geyser.
Dan, 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 would you say that Mayberry is breaking? Would you say that this is breaking Mayberry?
Dude, I think this is our last fucking season. It feels like we're really wrapping up a lot of plot lines, right?
No, just like the Andy Griffith show, we're going to continue on for 3 more seasons completely unnecessarily.
Marty, I'm starting to worry that one of us is about to die. I'm starting to kind of get omens the way things are wrapping up, that like I'm about to get hit by a car. Like it's starting to feel like it, right? Oh god, Steamboat Willie has a knife.
Steamboat Willie has a knife. Steamboat Willie, Dan, Steamboat Willie's behind you. Dan!
We shouldn't have let Steamboat Willie smoke all that PCP. Oh god.
So yeah, Barney meter, and it's very funny for the Andy meters and the Barney meters here. Barney meter is actually a 0, despite what we just said. Right?
There is, yeah, nothing. The Barney meter is gathering dust. Just because the show is not coherent enough anymore to have morals whatsoever. Right. Like, they don't really have ideas about the way the world should be anymore. It's just a series of events, which is, I guess, better. It's no longer doing damage. And now, yeah, we're just watching.
I would say this one actually has a very distinct idea of how things, right? Like people should be able, and the idea is basically here that people should be able to handle their own business together with a friendly handshake without actually needing to get any law involved whatsoever. If anything, this is once again, a good case for why the police shouldn't exist.
I mean, what Andy basically does a shitty, condescending version of at the end is social work?
Mediation. He's a mediator.
He's doing mediation. He's just forcing people to have a conversation, and once they've done that, they resolve the situation themselves, and the cop didn't really need to do anything.
Yeah. We haven't gone to this well in a while, but yeah, it's a pretty good case for why Andy doesn't need to have this job.
Yes.
And
What?
I think Andy is also realizing that he doesn't need to have this job. And Andy's realizing he doesn't need to have these friends. And Andy's realizing he doesn't need to have this town. And yet he'll be here for 3 more years.
Yes.
Uh,
He has not okay, so Barney meter is kind of a negative, but like not by a lot. Like it's a negative -0.5. Is good, but kind of by accident, I'd
yeah.
say. I think its intended moral is basically leave it alone. Don't fuck with it. If you see a problem, just leave it alone. If you think there's something that people should talk about, you don't want to do that. Bunch of shit will happen. Leave it alone.
Okay. Okay. But remember, Andy, historically, as far back as season 1, also takes this approach to all crime whatsoever, but especially domestic violence.
Yes.
Andy's approach to a guy hitting his wife is leave it alone.
Don't
Not
fuck
my
with it.
problem.
Yep.
No fucking. Which, again, he's the cop. He's a
Yes.
sheriff.
Is basically the sitting philosophy of the Andy Griffith Show is people are like dogs that got into the trash. You just kind of gotta let them do what they're gonna do, other bite you. Like just let it happen and just clean up the results afterwards.
All right, and Andy Meter, I didn't think this episode was particularly good or funny or interesting or well written or anything. It's a 4.
The kind of the chaos part of just they're getting calls that people are getting punched in the nose left or right. That sort of like domino effect that was happening. I had a lot of fun during that. I wish it had been way longer. I wish it had been like much more of the episode of them just getting like phone calls of increasingly ludicrous fights.
I
that
wish I
people are
got
getting
to see one guy get punched. I wish that just one punch had happened on screen. Like,
I'm sure there was like a morality thing of like you can't show a man getting punched
boo.
on prime time. I mean, they couldn't even like show somebody getting punched on like a hard-boiled detective show.
I think that's not true. I think they were
That's
showing plenty of
probably
people.
not true. I'm talking.
That's
in
not true.
minds.
That's not true at all. Like,
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, this episode isn't very good. It is just wild for our purposes. You want to go on to guest in the house?
Yeah.
All right. Next episode we're doing today is season 5, episode 24, Guest in the House, written by Lawrence J. Cohen and Fred Freeman, who also we last saw with The Rehabilitation of Otis. And this originally airs March 8th, 1965, directed by Kobe Ruskin, so same director for both of these. Here's your one-sentence summary from Wikipedia. Helen gets unnecessarily jealous of a pretty girl, a friend of the Taylor family, who is staying with them for a few days after an argument and breakup with her fiancé. Once again, I am going to take umbrage with the use of the word unnecessarily in this sentence. Helen gets unnecessarily jealous of a pretty girl. I would say that Helen's jealousy is pretty fucking well-founded in this episode.
While Andy's actions are not deliberately romantic, there is a hot chick staying in his house that is very clearly making some fucking moves.
She kisses him.
Yes.
And he doesn't immediately be like, you shouldn't do that. He's like, all right, whatever. This is weird.
Yeah. Like, she's going for it. I mean, even before the kiss, she shows up and she is like draping her leg around him like a fucking anaconda, basically.
No.
Actually, I'm going to let you take the lead on the recollection of events because I didn't get a chance to rewatch this one.
Okay, so
we were going to talk about it last week, but then Henry Kissinger died.
Right. So this opens up with Aunt B asking Andy to set up a guest room, essentially, because they're going to have a guest staying. And she says specifically, your cousin Gloria is coming over, right? Your cousin Gloria broke up with her fiance. They had a fight, and she needs a few days to rest. And Andy is like, I don't want her here. I don't know who this person is. So I want you to pay close attention to those words, cousin, right? Because at this point I was thinking, oh, I see what's going to happen here because I had read the description. she's going to come over and she's going to be hanging out all the time and she's going to be really pretty and Helen's going to get jealous and it's going to be like, you don't need to be jealous of her. She's his cousin, right? That's where
Mhm.
I thought this was going. Okay. Keep this in mind. So Andy is setting up this room and he makes it real clear. He's like, I don't know who this person is. I don't want her here. Why does she have to stay here? Couldn't she go, like, if she just broke up with her boyfriend, she should be going to New Orleans or something and getting and partying. But Aunt B insists that Andy take care of his cousin and show her a good time and be nice to her. Helen comes in and says, "Oh, you're setting up for a guest to come over," and they go, "Yeah, it's Andy's cousin." Except then they specify she's not really his cousin. They say that it's more of a friend of the family. So I keep this in mind, right? They do this for a while. So this is the setup. Helen is there. They have a little conversation. Aunt B is telling Andy to take his quote unquote cousin out and pick her up and from the bus station and make her have a nice time while she's here. Now it's time for Hating Women with Floyd. Because there's a very long extended period that is just Andy and Floyd waiting for the bus. And Floyd just fucking talks shit on a woman that they heard about that she knew. A woman who also broke up with her husband at the altar and then never got over it and took to drinking and was all like rosy eyed and drunk and had a terrible time. But then she did get the man to marry him and he regretted it because then she got fat. She blew up like a balloon and then she dyed her hair blonde, but it came out orange. This man was suddenly married to Garfield. This goes on for so long. It is 4 minutes of Floyd just talking shit on women in general and a random woman in particular.
Just,
To which Andy says, "That's cool, man. Hey, the bus is here. Bye." And that's it. That's a wrap on Floyd.
just basically telling this fucked up parable and being like, in a way, Andy, all women are fat whores. Like just like fucking like. I do ask the question, like, hey, what's up with Floyd's family? Did we ever get a follow up on that? Did his wife leave? Because this might be connected to that.
He had a son or a nephew or something at one point in time.
No, he had a son at one point and a wife. I remember because she was very mad at him at one point. I think a couple of points.
Never been brought up ever again.
He had a wife. She got mad at him like 8 times, and then he pretended to be a millionaire to have sex, and now he hates women. So
yeah, he did. He have a nephew or a son in the band
son?
In the episode where they were trying to convince that TV person, that guy that they thought was a TV producer, to put people on the air. This show used to be fun.
Yeah.
This show used to be fun. It used to be so fun. It was really stupid, and we would talk about how stupid it was, but it was fun. It wasn't just like 4 minutes of misogyny for no reason.
That son now lives in like Nebraska and does not remember his father's face. Like, I'm fairly confident his wife took the kids away, and now he's just this weird little Muppet man that apparently has this darkness within him. New layer to Floyd.
So the bus arrives carrying Gloria. Gloria is a young woman. I say young, but she's actually probably about 34 in this. So she's off the bus, and then they just didn't have anything to say here because there's a really long, awkward conversation of just like, well, was the ride good? Yeah, well, I came to pick you up. Yeah, a lot of nice scenery. All right. And it's not like Andy's like bored and she's into it. No, they just kind of stand around awkwardly for a little while because Kobe Ruskin apparently also cannot yell cut. Even though this isn't that interesting and there's not a whole lot developing, there's still like a little more chemistry, a little more stuff going on here, I think, that I picked up on than between Andy and Helen Crump's actress, Anita Coruscant. They take Gloria home. And again, cousin. I want
Mm-hmm.
to come back to the cousin thing real quick, because they don't do the thing that I was imagining where it was like, oh, you don't need to get upset because she's your cousin. No, this is just a person that somebody that Aunt B says is like family. I thought maybe, oh, they're using cousin in the way that like cousin Richie is cousin to Carmy on The Bear, where they're
Mm-hmm.
like childhood friends and they grew up so close together that they were cousins. No, Andy doesn't know this woman like at all. They met once when they were children. So, my question is this. If you're not going to do the don't get jealous, she's my cousin thing, and they're not gonna have that cousin connection, why the fuck did the writers even use the word cousin? Why does cousin appear in this script? If it's not gonna be the cousin and it's just a family friend, you could just say Aunt B's friend's daughter is here, a friend of the family. Why the fuck is the insistence on the word cousin, especially because they drop it halfway through? Because Anita Coruscant, because Helen goes, huh, what a pretty girl, good thing she's like family, this girl is like family to you, right? Why do they do this? What weirdo in the writing room was like, yeah, but make sure it's his cousin. Okay, but not really his cousin, you know? And also have her say like, we shouldn't do this. You're my stepdad in there. Hey,
Can,
can she get into a dryer at some point?
just that's Rand. Like the new guy's like, where is that coming from? Like, oh, that's Randy. He makes pigeons from his hole. We keep him in his little filth hole in the corner of the room. He throws heaters every now and then, so we listen to him. We listen to what Randy yells from his filth hole.
Why the cousin myth? Why even say it? Why is it even brought up? You could just say it's Aunt B's friend's daughter, right?
Let's
And
not
to be
pretend
clear,
like we don't live in a country where cousin fucking is a passionate sport. Like there are people chasing the majors in that field.
well, we're not supposed to say it on TV. Whatever. You're not helping your own case, the South. You're not helping yourselves with this.
Like three American presidents married their cousins, like biological blood cousins,
including Lincoln, I think.
Yeah, they loved it. That was like their favorite thing. They were all about cousin fucking until like recently.
But to be clear,
if you're a cousin fucker, you have to like kind of be sitting and breezing things and be like, what the fuck? I thought this was cool. We were in the majority for a while. Damn it.
What's that, Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse? You think it should still be the norm? Oh, Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse has some opinions about the age of consent that I will not repeat.
Oh my god, Steamboat Willie era Mickey Mouse is holding up Minnie's birth certificate and a 23andMe test? They're blood related? First cousin Steamboat Willie. Oh my god.
Boy.
He's nodding like, yeah, like he's really into it.
He's really on.
He's not even trying to defend it. He's just like looking me dead in the eye and being like, yeah, that's right.
It's a feature, not a bug, according to Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse.
What's that, Steamboat Willie? It's better when they're your cousin? Jesus. Oh man, I can see why Disney was keeping your ass in the vault.
They bring Gloria back. Remember that cool song that we liked a little while ago? There Is a Time, the Darling sang. Andy does the most bullshit fucking shitty version of that, where it's just him solo, like moaning to it, and Gloria basically falls asleep with her eyes open. The idea is that like she's off and thinking about her ex, and she's sad, and Aunt B has to be like, "Hey man, come on, play something nicer. We're happy." But I think she's just fucking bored. Again, they did not have script for this.
Like just sitting there like, why am I here? Why did I do this? Why did I come to this place? Why am I not? I am newly single. Why did I not go to a like New York, basically? Yeah.
The next day, and which again was Andy's suggestion. The next day, Gloria
Why
comes.
did I go to a dry county post
Yeah,
breakup? What am I thinking?
yeah. The next day, Gloria comes to see Andy at the courthouse, and this is where they start to do a little flirting, right? But the flirting is mostly just Gloria realizing that there's a function for her. Andy needs to type a letter, and Gloria's like, "Hey, I can type. Don't worry about it. I'll take this." Because Andy's like doing a hunt and peck method, so she types up the thing for him, and Andy is so fucking like moved and turned on by a woman with one basic competency. And I'll say this, right? I know that I said earlier that there's a little bit more chemistry between Gloria and Andy than there is between Helen and Andy. I will also say this: what helps is that the show is pushing these two a little harder. The strings and the and the music and the banter, it's all going so much harder to showing like that Gloria and Andy have more going on than Helen and Andy. Like they're setting the stage for it much harder than they've ever set it with Helen. And let's just go ahead and say this too. I know we don't like to do this, but Gloria's a fox, dude.
Yeah, bro.
Gloria's like way hotter than Helen. Although I'll say this, for the portion of this show that Helen is being like unnecessarily mean, but they're actually using the word unnecessarily, right? For the portion where she's just kind of like being a little bit of a bitch to Andy and to Gloria.
Were you into it?
I was into it.
You were into it. Yeah,
I was like, for the first time, I was like,
yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
No, I get it. Don't know what that says about us.
I mean, I get it. Like, not really that into Helen Crump, but I do kind of want her to step on me. Like, I get it. Like, yeah, like that's really the appeal.
I get the deal. So anyway, Helen walks in right as Gloria is leaving, because you can't have two women on the screen at the same time.
No. They'll
Otherwise
unionize.
The universe explodes. Unionize.
They'll compare salaries and then everything's fucked.
And then that's when Helen says, "Yeah, that's a really pretty girl that you've got there. Super pretty girl, because, you know, bitches be jealous, am I right?" She's really cold to Gloria. Then they're all at dinner with Aunt B and Opie. Opie complains a little bit about the homework that he has to do, and Helen says, "You've only got 4 problems." And Andy says, "Yeah, it's only 4 problems. Go suck it up." And so Opie says, "All right, bye." And then Helen says, he sure does love his homework. No, he fucking doesn't. He just told you he didn't want to do it. What are you talking about? Gloria then has a line here that I found really interesting, because it's not interesting at all. It opens up for something. She says, "You know, I once wanted to be a teacher." And then they say, "Oh, really?" And then nothing comes of this. It seems like it's a setup for her to say something to make her the bad guy, right? It seems like she was like, "Oh, I once wanted to be a teacher, but then I realized it's a clown job for clowns." Or even just something like subtly bitchy, like, you know, "I wanted to be a teacher, but I felt that those who can't do teach," or whatever. Just something. No, instead that line shows up and then never goes anywhere.
Okay,
the phone rings actually to cut off the line.
Marty, okay. I'm gonna counterpoint this. Let's try an experiment. Tell me what your job is.
I'm a training designer.
Oh, I wanted to be a training designer once.
Bring!
That kind of has some sting to it, right? Of like, there's kind of an implied, but then I made better life choices. Like, but
that's what they were going
I didn't
for.
Want to suck shit. I feel like the silence kind of speaks volumes on it.
If that's what they were going for, it does not fucking land at all. The phone rings. It's her ex-boyfriend. She doesn't want to talk to him. End of scene. Andy and Helen are going to go out to a movie. Gloria's like, okay, I'll figure out something else. I'll just hang out. Maybe I'll see the late movie or whatever. Andy invites Gloria out to the movies. This pisses Helen off.
Okay. So you've alluded to Helen's reaction a couple of times as sort of this being a stereotypical bitches be crazy type thing.
Right.
I will say, I under these circumstances would be flipping out if I
This
were
is
in
where
her shoes.
this is where
Like,
it turns. This is where it turns.
Marty, the whole time I would be being chill, but I would be flipping out if your significant other suddenly has a certified hottie staying at their place. Yeah, I'm gonna be asking a lot of questions. Be like, so how do you know them? How do you know them? Like, how long are you close? How far away are they sleeping from your room? Like, how is it like a long walk? Or they're like people are there, like, is Aunt B, is her room like in between yours? Or oh yeah, fun, she's so great to have around. Yeah, like I would be like bugging out. And again, as shit like this keeps happening, yeah, I would be going fully irrational. this is
There.
this is like when you find out that your significant other has a hot coworker.
Yeah. Okay. And you want to ask something? Yeah.
Yeah. They've given you nothing to be worried about, but also like, oh, dude, he's so hot.
But now it's time for, well, yes, except Andy has not made any comment on any unprompted comments on Gloria's hotness. It is Helen who said, "Well, she's really pretty, don't you think?" And Andy's like, "Yeah, I guess she can type too. That's really cool." Um, but now Andy's invited her to the movies and to dinner the next night, and they get in the car after dropping Gloria off. Which, now that I think about it, dropping Gloria off where? She's staying with Andy. Doesn't make any sense. And oh no, they drop her off at the house, and and Andy's going to take Helen home. Whatever, it doesn't matter. And on the way there, Helen says, "Boy, it sure is great how you just had a third party." They like that third party phrase. Had a pretty young girl here as a third party, and I don't think that's appropriate, even if she is like family, even if she is your cousin. So fucking weird. And she says, "You invited her to dinner tomorrow." And Andy says, "Well, what am I supposed to do?" He says, "I'll get her a date. Who should I get her a date with?" And then to which Helen says, "Goober. Bring her Goober." Which, the fuck?
What other moves do they have? Who else? Gilly? I don't know.
No, okay, look, they used to do this to Gomer,
Everybody's in
and
Vietnam.
they used to do this to Gomer, and it made us mad because we thought that Gomer was, at least a decent person. They were like, "Let's punish her. Let's punish the bad person by making them spend time with the pile boy." But now she's just like, "Yeah, bring Goober in. Bring that sack of shit." And then Andy even says, "No, that's not fair. What has she done to deserve Goober?"
Which it and then it very much backfires in Crump's face.
Right. It
Yeah.
backfires in Crump's face because they go to dinner. It's not going well. There's a bunch of scenes where Goober has to pull Andy under the counter to talk about, like, what am I supposed to do? I can't pay for this, etc., etc. And then some music starts playing on the jukebox, and there's some dancing going on. And Andy hints to Goober that he should ask Gloria to dance. Goober does so. Gloria says, "Oh, no, thanks though." And then Goober says, "All right, well, what about you, Helen? Let's go dance." And he grabs Helen, and Helen it does not have the same fucking backbone that Gloria does. She just goes, "Oh, Goober, I don't think," and then is just whisked off, leaving Andy and Gloria alone. Then, of course, Andy and Gloria start dancing together while Goober and Helen dance together. At this
Which
point, I'd like to remind you that the one sentence summary from Wikipedia starts off by saying Helen gets unnecessarily jealous.
Because Gloria also pulls a fucking move of refusing to dance until everybody else has left the table, and then insisting upon a dance.
Oh yeah, she's
So
fucking going for it. Yeah.
she's going for it. She pulled a fucking she pulled a hard Tokyo drift into a dance with Andy. She did a fucking maneuver. This is calculated and executed with precision.
yeah, she's like making a move. She's on board with this. Uh, Andy drops Helen off. Helen slams the door in his face and says, "If you want to go out with Gloria, that's your business, but I don't need to be around to see it." Which I think illuminates a lot of Andy and Helen's relationship. Again, these two don't like each other that much.
No, they're casual. They're cash. They're just fucking. Like
They are,
they're
but like she doesn't want to have to see it. Like she doesn't want, like, yeah, go. Her exact words are, "You want to do that, go, fine, but I don't want to see it." Fine. That's
they
those are the parameters of their open relationship.
they are operating on mid-20s LA dating rules where it is semi-open, you just don't talk about it or look at it. Like
And then Andy goes home and Gloria does kiss him. Right? Gloria is like, "Thank you for this," and Gloria does kiss him, and then walks off. And then Andy doesn't like protest the kiss or say we shouldn't do this or whatever. He's like, "Huh, okay," and he walks into the other room where Aunt B is there, and Frances Bavier gets to do a thing. She gets to have lines. They're not very good lines, and may I remind you, this whole fucking thing is her fault. But
mhm.
uh, Frances Bavier said, "Here's out Andy's problem." Andy straight up says, "Helen slammed the door in my face and Gloria kissed me, and I don't know why either one of them did that." And Aunt B is like, "Come on, man. You know. You fucking know. You know. You've been, Andy's like, "You told me to be nice to her." And Aunt B says, "Not that nice." She says, like, no woman wants competition thrown in her face. And isn't that what you've been doing to Helen? Just a little bit? Just a
No.
little? And I would say the answer is no. And this is the funniest part to me, is that the episode itself comes down real hard on Andy, a man who didn't want any of this. But also, once she arrived, yeah, he totally was.
I mean, no, it's she's a house guest. If Aunt B wants Andy to not be taking her out on dates he's going on, fucking you take her out, Aunt B. You take her to the goddamn movies. Or she's your guest. Take her sewing or whatever the fuck you do. Like, I, I don't know. Take her to church or one of your other three hobbies. She doesn't leave the kitchen. Like, she's basically Rosie from the Jetsons at this point. I'm realizing Aunt B hasn't gone to the movies in like 3 seasons.
Hang on a second. Real quick, I'm going to go ahead and look up the Wikipedia article for Lilith and see if I can compare her to Aunt B.
Take her, Aunt B
I'm
should take
not
her on
really.
her Aunt B should take her on her real hobby of getting fucked by traveling salesmen. That she should like do that to like show her around town. Um, but okay,
Okay,
so
we need to talk about the resolution here. We need to
yeah,
talk about the way that they resolve this. Um, is the next morning, Andy and Helen walk into the kitchen where Gloria and Aunt B are, and they say, "Hey, sorry we were late for breakfast. We had to run an early morning errand. Hey, Gloria, there's something waiting for you in the other room." And they go. Gloria goes into the other room, and there's her ex-boyfriend that she fought with, and I guess left her at the altar or something.
mhm.
And they just leave them alone there, and it's real quiet, and everybody just waits for like a minute, and then Aunt B goes back in the room, and they are full on making out. They are like tonsil deep on each other, man. And Aunt B's like, "Hooray, it worked!" And everybody's like, "Hooray, there was no domestic abuse involved here." You don't know the fucking details of their breakup. What are you doing, my man? But no, his whole
Maybe,
plan was,
yeah,
once again,
maybe he
Andy's whole
fucked
plan
her
is,
best friend.
yeah, you don't know any of this. Andy's whole plan is like, throw her at another man. Like, just bring another. She's throwing herself at me. I'm just gonna deflect that. Down B my Super Smash Brothers shield here and just deflect it right over. I'm Pit in this. I'm playing as Pit.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and just deflecting that right onto another guy, and it fucking works. I hate this show. I
He
hate
does
this
some
show. It's
fucking
so
jujitsu
stupid.
energy redirection on this shit, rather than just having the easiest conversation of, hey, woman I have not like slept with, I do not want to pursue a romantic relationship with you. Okay, cool, I'm only in town for like 2 more days, so that's fine. uh like, but bing bang boom, the easiest, like, not even a conflict, a clarification of situations. Yeah, Andy's not like particularly in the wrong here. I don't see him anything he did up until this point as being like fucked. Um, I'm coming down hard in favor of Helen Crump. While I think she made some strategic blunders, I think her emotional responses were pretty fair.
This whole thing is just so fucking stupid, man. I hate the way that this resolves. I hate the resolution here is just like I just showed you your ex-boyfriend and then
Yeah,
that's it, right?
it's
Because women
deranged.
are dumb is
Yes,
according to the Andy Griffith show.
which uh like, as we all know, women lack object permanence, and she just had forgotten what her boyfriend looks like. That's the only problem, is like, he wasn't in her immediate view, so she was like, oh, what, I don't love him. And then she like, basically they did peekaboo, and he's like, here I am. And then she's like, oh yeah, feelings. uh yeah, so hopefully she wasn't escaping a bad situation.
Hate
Which,
the show. All right.
yeah.
Andy Meter, is this episode good? I thought it was okay. I would give it a 6. I think I thought the goober dancing sequence was pretty funny. I like Gloria. I like some of the flirtation between Gloria and Andy. It's fine. It's a 6.
4, it kind of rolled off me. Nothing
Yeah.
particularly bad about it, just it didn't really make an impact.
Uh, Goober meter, I think this is a 0, like, or maybe a 2 or 3. I think that Andy might be annoyed with his relationship. Might
Yeah, I
he might be thinking that maybe he wants to. No, he's very clearly thinking he wants to get out of this thing with Crump, because otherwise he wouldn't be even looking at Gloria.
no, I
By
think
the
he's in a stupid shitty no-win scenario because his aunt sent a poorly thought out invitation to a family member, quote unquote. And now he's stuck in this weird romantic drama. So yeah, he's like exhausted and pissed off. His demeanor isn't even like he it, and it's how he is with most conflicts now, is just like, I don't even have the energy to be upset. Like, I'm too tired to try to resolve this. I'm too tired to even register what is going on. So I'd put him at like a 4 probably on the goober meter.
Yeah, all right, I can follow that. Um, and then Barney meter, how much psychic damage does this episode do? I'm gonna say, probably a small amount, no more than any other like portrayal of women around this time, with the weird exception of why? Why did you say cousin? Why did you even say the word cousin? Which one of these fucking writers is sitting there going, she's his cousin, but no, he's not? Typing this out with one hand.
Give me that. You gotta give me this, Johnny. You gotta make her his cousin. I don't know. Like, I'm calling in all my favors. Make him a cousin and then make him kiss.
Is it Lawrence Cohen or Fred Freeman? Which one? I think it's Freeman. I think Freeman's the freak.
Freeman. One sec. Send me a picture of Freeman. I bet he's a freak.
They don't even have fucking Wikipedia entries, so no.
Okay, yeah, they're certified dirtbags. As we all know, any writer that doesn't have a Wikipedia page is a fucking circus freak, as we all know. No, like, yeah, I mean, yeah, I think you toss a couple of coins for the general message of bitches be crazy. I think that's sort of the general takeaway of it, is women are jealous and irrational, and also basically goldfish, according to this, of like you just gotta jingle keys, but the keys are an ex-boyfriend, and they'll just be like, ah! and just like scamper off in that direction. Um, yeah. So two, two.
Two.
Uh,
I'll do a two on that. I'll do a
yeah.
two. So
Toss a couple of spare Barney points out of my pocket and throw it into the open guitar case of this episode.
uh, hey, so I stopped using Twitter a long time ago, and I also eventually stopped bothering to like log in every 30 days so that my handle kept going.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually somebody did take the Schneid Remarks a handle Twitter account. And it's just like a dude who fucking never says anything original, mostly just talks about baseball and retweets like lower tier right wing nut jobs like Cernovich,
Oh,
like Cernovich level are like right wing people. Not even Shapiro. We're talking the C list of
oh
fucking right
no.
wingers. So what that means though is that there are like 140 episodes of me telling people go look at my Twitter, spelling it out SCHNEID remarks, and they're gonna go there if anybody starts this series from the beginning, and it's like, well, this isn't. So don't do that.
Okay. Oh, we got to do some damage control there. This is Dan Ludwig orgy concierge all over again. We gotta. Let me check on mine. Um, I mean, I think mine was shitty enough that nobody's gonna take it. Yeah, we gotta put a big old disclaimer or something on everything of
I
like
mean, whatever. Anybody who goes there is going to know, obviously, this isn't the Breaking Mayberry guy. But
he
it
doesn't
just
like look
sucks.
like you at all, does he? Like
It's not,
he
it's not,
doesn't.
it's not even a picture there. It just sucks. It just sucks. If you want to support us with your money dollars, patreon.com/Breaking Mayberry gets you access to extended episodes, bonus footage, bonus episodes. We're putting some of those out. You get to torture us with whatever you want to make us watch.
Also,
That's
bonus footage. We've set up cams. That's right. We've started camming.
that's basically it for this episode, I think. Happy New Year, everybody. Oh, Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse is going to close us out with a lot of opinions on Scientology. Oh no, Mickey Mouse! Mickey Mouse is asking what happened to Shelley Miscavige. Oh no! Oh no! Steamboat Willie version specifically.
Is the whistling his language in our mythology?